sorry.
Okay. Anyway, this is a song that God gave me about a person who was my supervisor when I used to work for the state. And when I found out she was a Sunday school teacher, I thought, how can such a gossipy, not very nice person say she's a Christian? And I was feeling pretty self-righteous and pretty good, thinking I was pretty cool. And God kind of tapped me on the shoulder and said, excuse me, but it took just as much of my precious blood to pave the way for you. And who are you to judge? So that's what this song is about. It took just as much.
Secret